Hey everybody, this is Dennis Crowley. I am the owner of Generation X and the Times Baseball League. And this video is for Kerr and any future TBL owners that join us. Um, I'm going to be scoring my game, and I just wanted to show Kerr how I do it. It doesn't take that long. It's 11:47 on Sunday night. I'm scoring the Sunday, August 4th game. So first thing you should know, if you go to Team Admin, I'm logged into my team here, and you go to set lineup, the lineup locks for 8-4. Oh, I'm sorry. So here I'm logged into my account. I go to Team Admin set lineup. For August 4th, the lineup's locked. It locks at 11 p.m. So you need to use um, the Sam Swami commissioner login in order to put in your starting players, even if it's like a day later. Like if you do it Monday morning for Sunday's games, I think Michael Batten likes to do it like that. Um, you can't do it with your own account because it locks the lineups at 11 p.m. But so that's why I have Google Chrome here, where I'm logged into my account here, or the home page, and then to actually affect the lineup changes, I'm going to be logged into Sam Swami account, and I'm going to click Admin Tools and set lineup. Now this is very important. Make sure that you're setting the lineup for the correct date. So I'm going to Generation X. I'm going to put it on August 4th. And I'm going to say View Lineup. If you're doing lineups in the past, just make sure that you're doing the right day for that lineup. This is my Saturday's lineup. It carries over your lineup from the previous day unless you bench everybody. So for Sunday, August 4th, these are the changes that I need to make. Now, so I'm going to drag this over. Actually, I'm just going to minimize it. Usually I would have two screens. I have one screen up with the admin page, Sam's Swami account, um, and then the other page, my own lineup. So let's start there. Here's what I do. So you go to the home page and look for your lineup, so it's up on the screen. This way you're not doing a lot of reloading. I score by using tabs. So I have my August 4th lineup. I'm going to create a new tab by going up to the box scores, right-clicking it, and say Open a New Tab. So now I have on this new tab my lineup for 8-4. And I'll show you why I do this in a second. Let's go back to where my team lineup is. And I just go back down quickly by position. Now, you can just say, oh, I started Yainer Diaz at catcher. Well, sometimes he DHs, sometimes he plays first base. So going back to the box score, first of all, hit Show Reserves, so you could, in case you need to look at somebody on your bench. So Yainer Diaz, catcher. I right-click on this box score, and I say Open a New Tab. And what I'm doing is I don't care about the number. I just want to see, did Yainer Diaz, not Yandy Diaz on the Tampa Bay team, did Yainer Diaz play catcher? Boom, he did. So now I know that's done. I can close this. Next position, Juan Yepez, the Washington Nationals. So he's my starter from Saturday, so he's already in the starting lineup. I'm going to right-click here, opening a new tab. Now I have several players in the Nationals. If you look, I have Yepez, and I have Luis Garcia, and I have James Wood as one of my starting outfielders. So I'm going to knock all three of those out in one glance. Scroll down to the box score. Yepez did indeed start at first base. Luis Garcia started at second base, and James Wood started in the outfield. So those are all set, and you can look at your box score. Okay, yes, I had Yepez in there already. I had Garcia in there already. I had Wood in there already. So now the next position in question is third base, Jose Ramirez. I'll close this Brewers National ones. Now you could leave them all open and have several games up here to make it easier to check things. But now I'm going to my box score, checking my third baseman, which Jose Ramirez was already in there. Did he play third base? Sometimes he DHs on Sundays. And he did indeed play third base, so we're good there. And then we got Gunnar Henderson as my starter at shortstop. Did he play shortstop? He usually does. And indeed he did. So that's that position is set. Next position is outfield. I have Tyler O'Neill listed, and I have Seiya Suzuki listed as starters. Now Tyler O'Neill's been hurt, so he was on the bench yesterday. He still did not play. You notice the box score, instead of having a link to the box score, says DNP. So Suzuki is the next outfielder. He DHs a lot too. So check. I'm right clicking there, checking Suzuki right field. So he's set. My backup outfielder, my fourth outfielder, was Alex Burleson. He will sometimes DH, he will sometimes play first base. So let's check that out. So right now my starting outfielder would be Suzuki, James Wood, and one more person. So Alex Burleson. Yesterday I only had two active outfielders because I've got some injuries right now I've got to address tomorrow. So it says Alex Burleson started. Also notice next to their names it tells you if they started or not. Sometimes a person will play, like Ryan Jeffers played catcher yesterday, or he played yesterday, but it doesn't say starter here. So there's a very high chance that he was a pinch hitter, or like here, he pinched hit and he just played DH. So he would not count as my catcher, even if I started him. You would, if I had Jeffers here, then Diaz, you would skip Jeffers and go to the next listed. So again, let's go back to Burleson. Did he play outfield? So we go to Burleson, right click. I'm surprised he even started him because he was facing a tough lefty in Justin Steele. And he did in fact play outfield. So now how do I affect that change? Remember, I can't do it from my own browser. I have to go over to Firefox, set lineup, make sure you're on your team for the fourth. And I'm going to go down here to Alex Burleson, and I'm going to move him here into my third outfielder spot. So now my offense is set. Now let's go back to Chrome, check our pitchers. So my pitcher, I was just my starting pitchers at the top. You can use whatever format you want. Matt Waldron was my starting pitcher, so we're going to check his. Also, if you notice, there's a PP next to their name. That stands for probable pitcher. So you'll see that in the morning of the game. You can see which of your starters is likely to start that day. So Matt Waldron, did he start? Well, he did. He had points there. But sometimes teams will list the guy as a starter. The Brewers do this quite a bit, or they did earlier in the year. He shows up as a starter on ESPN, but they use an opener. So according to TBL team rules, you wouldn't be able to use him unless he was actually the starting pitcher. So we're going to look at the Rockies and Padres game, go down to the starting pitchers, or the pitchers listing, and Matt Waldron did indeed start. So again, in order to affect that change, I need to tab over to the Firefox tab with the signed into the Sam Swami account. I'm going to click on Matt Waldron and I'm moving to my starting pitcher slot. One thing that's changed since you ordered TBL is we now allow 3 relief pitchers. So let's see which one of my relievers pitched. So now I'm going back to Chrome, to my box score. So none of the relievers that were in there from Saturday, Alexis Diaz, Ryan Helsley, or Kirby Yates pitched. And I usually go down to this innings pitched tab. Although sometimes a pitcher will come in and just get hammered, a relief pitcher, and he might have 0 innings pitched. So maybe it's better to look at the points tab. Whatever works for you. But basically I have AJ Puck, who's, it doesn't have a PP there, and we know AJ Puck's a relief pitcher. But you want to check, click his new tab, open a new tab, and put on the pitchers, and there it is. AJ Puck closed out yesterday's or Sunday's game, and I've got Seawald in there as well, who's also listed. Here's my relief pitchers listing. Puck was my third one, so he's in for sure. Helsley didn't pitch. Did Kimbrel pitch? No, he did not. Did Puck pitch? Yes, he did. We already looked at that. Kirby Yates, did he pitch? No, he did not. Alexis Diaz, I already said he didn't pitch. Chris Bubeck did not pitch. And finally, Paul Sewald pitched. So those would be my 2 relief pitchers. So again, to effect that change, I have to go over to the admin page, grab Seawall, put him in for Diaz, grab Puck, put him in for Yates. Now, if a guy didn't pitch and you want to just leave him in there, you can, or you can take the relief pitcher that didn't pitch and put him on the bench. Now I'm going to go back to Chrome, and I'm going to refresh this page. And the reason why I did this, I want to see how many points I scored. So after I setting my lineup, everything was clean. I had 15 hitting points and 11 pitching points. So you can look at the reserves to make sure there's no other relief pitcher that you need to put in. All the other guys that pitched were starters. And again, I listed Waldron first, the other guys after that. So made the correct decision because it looks like he had the most points of all my starters. So that did okay too, as did Yariel Rodriguez. But Waldron was the best choice. That's one of the things that's tough in TBL is figuring out what your best choice starting pitcher is. Okay, so that's that. Now, what I also like to do is check the box score for my opponent. Now I'm playing Cheap Jacks. Cheap Jacks is coached by Jimmy Batten, Michael's son, and his lineup is usually set the next morning. But you can get an idea by looking at his lineup. Here I'm back on the home page. I'm going to find the Cheap Jacks lineup. So Hoppy was his starting catcher. Again, just briefly checking these. Hoppy was the DH. So he did not start a catcher. Go back to the lineup. His starting catcher would be Bailey. Did Bailey catch? Right click on the box score. Bailey did not catch. He was also the DH. So his third catcher was Rio Muto, who I believe is on the injured list. Oh no, he's back. So he has JT Rio Muto listed as his third catcher. Time to get that guy back in the starting lineup. And he was the catcher, so we would need to make that change. Now again, because we have the admin, you can just let your opponent score their own games. But because I'm a psycho and I like to see the score before I go to bed, I'm going to go to the Cheap Jacks lineup for 8-4. Check with your opponent. Don't do this without having their permission. But I'm okay with doing this for Jimmy, I believe. So we're going to move JT Realmuto into starting catcher. Okay, so let's go back and look at his lineup and close these down. First baseman, Paul Goldschmidt. So he had Naylor in there from Saturday because Goldschmidt was the DH. So I'm going to go with Goldschmidt. And he played first base. Right, again, yeah, first base. So we need to put him in. To effect that change, we're going to go back to the Firefox. We're going to go to Goldschmidt. We're going to put him in here. We're going to go to the next pitching. So the next pitching is, or the next spot in the lineup would be second base. Ketel Marte. So right click here. Marte was the second baseman, so we can leave that alone. Third base, I'm going to leave that box score because he has Diamondbacks third baseman, Suarez. And Chimino Suarez also played third base, so that's fine to leave alone. The next one is shortstop, and he puts Merrill here, but Merrill always plays the outfield. Let's just double check that. We're going to right click here, look at a new address, open a new tab, excuse me. We're going to look at that Jackson Merrill, and he indeed did start at center field. So you go to the backup, Mason Wynn, who's already in there. And just to make sure he played shortstop, and he did. So we're all set for the shortstop position. Outfield, Merrill, we already verified that he played center field. De La Cruz and Kwan. So we're going to go to De La Cruz. Right click on the box score, say open a new tab. De La Cruz was played right field, so he stays in there. And his third outfielder was Quan, Stephen Quan. Right click on this, open the tab, and Quan did indeed play left field, so he needs to go in there. So we're going to again go tab to the admin page, and what is it, Quan? I'm going to move him in for Ian Happ. Now we need to do the DH. He has Marte there, Suarez, and those two. Marte played second base, Suarez played third base. If you start at a position, you always take that as precedent over DH. If you would have listed, he did list Marte here and Marte here. Well, Marte played second base, so that goes as his position instead of DH. So we go over to the third backup, which is Chapman, and Chapman's been hot. So find him here. Oh, he remains hot. Right click here. It doesn't really matter because he's in the DH spot, but just, if you want to just double check. He started at third base, but you can start any position player at your DH. So he counts. And we'll go back to the admin page and stick Chapman in there. So now we're going to check the pitchers. Now, some teams will do this. Some teams won't list a starting pitcher, but they'll list all their pitchers in default. So look at the box score, see the ones that were probable pitchers. In this case, there was only one, Tobias Myers. So that makes it easy. But let's just say he had Tobias Myers here, and Luis Castillo. So you check his default lineup. Who comes first, Myers or Castillo? Castillo comes first. So if Castillo would have pitched on Sunday, he would go in ahead of Myers, who is I don't even see him listed. That makes me think he was a list pitcher. No, couldn't be. So you can't avoid using a starting pitcher as your pitcher. So even though he's not listed in his default lineup, oh no, there he is. I'm sorry, but let's just say he wasn't listed. Like somebody hadn't done their lineup for say 2 months, and there was a pitcher that they had in there originally, but they had since dropped them. Let's just say they did a free agent pickup a month later after not listing a new default. And that was the only starting pitcher that pitched that day. You have to use him. So Tobias Myers is the starting pitcher. You go to the admin page, scroll down to pitchers, click Myers, click starting pitcher, and then check the box score for his relief pitchers. So no relief pitchers from the starters the previous day. There was Joe Payamps who came to the game and Josh Winkowski. So those two, so Payamps and Winkowski need to go in the game. We can take out any of these two. So Winkowski goes in and Payamps goes in. Alright, so let's take a look at the box score now. Refresh. Now I know what score he had. So he had a score of 17.83, and you add the offense and the defense together, or offense and the pitching, and checking my team, I had 26 points, 26.17, so now I can go to bed and not worry about whether I won or lost. Now, some people don't feel comfortable scoring their opponent's lineup, or some people have said, don't score my lineups. Ray takes care of his own lineup, doesn't need help scoring. Tom takes care of his own lineup, doesn't need help scoring. Michael takes care of his lineup, doesn't want you to score. He loves scoring his games over a cup of coffee the next morning. He also takes care of the Cheap Jacks lineup if needed. Again, that will be done the following morning. And Gary doesn't want anybody scoring his lineup. That covers everybody. But let's just see, Skid Row. They already, I bet you they already scored the lineup. Yep. So they have their starting pitcher in. They have their relief pitcher. Sometimes Ray will go to bed before the final game's over. So here's a relief pitcher. He's got a stick in there. Gavin Williams. He hadn't pitched by the time he stopped checking his lineup, and I believe he was playing your team. So let's check your team. Superbus. Superbus. I keep saying that wrong. Looks like you got your game scored already, Kurt. Look at that. Hopefully Michael already went over it with you, but this is just a different method to it. So your game, you scored 17.75 plus 0.3, so 18.08. And Skid Row scored 23. Even if they minus that 1.5, they're still going to win 21-18. And that's the life in the TBL. So there you go. We'll go ahead and shut this down, and I hope that you find this beneficial. Again, if you were checking your team, go to the lineup that you posted. Perfect. Love the format. Pretty clear. You might want to list all your default starting pitchers here, but because let's just say the Yankees rained out, and you had 2 or 3 other guys that could have started that day. Now you have to go back to your previous default to figure out what order they were, and there might be where you want them in a different order. So let's look at your box score. Show reserves. So you had Cole in there, but let's just say you had 2 other starting pitchers, Mitchell Parker and Edward Cabrera. Who you start? Sorry, you had 3: Justin Steele, Mitchell Parker, and Edward Cabrera. Because you didn't list other starting pitchers here, and you don't have the list of your default starting pitchers, you would have to go back to a previous lineup. So I can go open edit. I want to go to get more forum posts. You have to search for Super. That's the last default lineup, which was bumped up. So who would go here? So you had Cole, who's way back here. And then you had Cabrera, who's here. And you had Parker and Steele. So Parker would have been your pitcher. If the Yankees would have rained out, you may have really wanted to use Edward Cabrera as your second pitcher, but you didn't list it like that. You didn't list anything, so it goes back to your default. And in which case, all 4 of your pitchers were decent and gave you positive points. But would have put a little more pressure on Ray if you had picked Edward Cabrera as the backup, and Garrett Cole rained down. So it would have been 5 additional points to your score. You still no, I think maybe you would have won them. But again, that's neither here or there. I just wanted to point that out. That when you're listing your default lineup, make sure you list all your starting pitchers if you want them in a certain order. If you want to not list them and have people depend on your backup, and you're going to make a lot of roster changes, I have a feeling. So it's good to have them. At least make a new default tomorrow after free agent comes. All right, guys, that's it. I've talked enough. So that's the quick and easy way to score 2 teams. You can usually get a team done in 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I started here at 11:50, so 20 minutes, about 10 minutes a team, and that's with me rambling a lot. So shutting it down. Thanks for watching. Bye. Good luck this year and next.